And we're back from the break. Kevin Ward shoots me a text about 12:45. He says, Kluve, let's get this thing done. As you heard before, Drake and Kevin are split episode this week, which is disrespectful to Illinois, and that's how it should be. We shit all over Illinois in the first half of the segment, Kev. So feel free to do any of that if you'd like. But
I mean, I chose to live in the great state of Iowa versus my home state of Illinois. So that's all the shitting over that state I need to do.
Yeah, you're a transplant. You're essentially, you're essentially an Iowan. I like Chicago a lot, but the rest of Illinois is tough.
Chicago's a great city to spend time in. I couldn't live there.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't see myself ever living in a huge city, but
Chicago's
a great time to go spend a weekend for sure.
Yeah, no, I love a quick getaway there. You're definitely a suburban guy.
Oh
yeah. Now I'm full on beta alanine right now and a little creatine pre-workout because I was in the middle of a bench sesh when you text me. So I finished my bench real quick and came up to record the podcast because I know that when Kevin and Drake ask me to record, when they set the time, I jump. How high, right? That's what I ask. How high? Because sometimes it's tough to get the troops rounded up around here in the Army. So for those that have been on, taken a lot of the pre-workouts that were created 10 years ago and now since probably banned, like Jack 3D. You ever take Jack 3D?
No.
It was like one ingredient off of meth, I think.
It was, yeah. There's reasons that those things are not around anymore.
Yeah, I took it a couple times, and it'll get you going now.
No, yeah, I don't remember what I took. I took one like a couple times back in high school, and I've not been taking pre-workout since.
Yeah, I never took it in high school. I never took it in college. I'm always a pretty good energy guy, but I take the isolated element of beta alanine now, just because there's some decent studies that say it helps with the old endurance and lactic acid flushing during CrossFit type workouts. Anyways, for those that have taken it, it makes your skin itch and kind of tingle a little bit. It gives you a little tingle. And so I am tingling right now during this podcast.
Good tingle or like actually itch?
It's like a good tingle. It's not an itch. It's hard to describe unless you've taken it. And if you've taken the Jack 3D, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm jacked up for this. Kevin and I are going to go for 20 minutes or so. He said that the rest of his day work-wise turned into what was it?
Turned into the porta-john at a chili festival.
Yeah, the porta-potty at a chili festival, i.e. shit show. So which you may be able to call Illinois football. Illinois football sits at 4-6 this year. Let me check. 5th in the Big Ten West. They are a heavily run dominated team. Chase Brown leads the way with 851 yards on 143 carry attempts. They have a pretty solid.
That dude's like he's a workhorse now. He's thick. He runs the ball hard. And they just keep handing him the ball. They run Chase Brown like the Marshalltown sophomore football team ran Tyler Kluber. It's just, we got this one guy and we just got to give him the ball and hope he gets it done. You were getting fed like Jerome Bettis back in the day?
Dude, it was rough. There was multiple games where middle of the second quarter wasn't even, we weren't even to halftime and I was sucking wind because I was going both ways and it was just dive right, dive left. Not good. They got a decent little second back in Joshua McCray, 94 carries for almost 500 yards. So really a good rushing attack. However, it is accompanied by a passing attack that is almost non-existent. And, well, we have seen when your offense is one-dimensional from the Iowa side, what happens from the defense perspective, Kev. It becomes a whole lot easier to defend teams, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd imagine Phil's going to play a lot of
down defense looks. So he's going to get extra safety in the box somehow, whether that be playing cover 3 or bringing the backside safety down and just playing man-to-man on the backside. We're not just going to let them spread us out and run it on us, which Illinois really hasn't been. They've been mixing up. They've been running out of the spread looks. They've been also running out of like kind of like the old Wisconsin looks that Bielema used to run at Wisconsin. And then a couple new looks where he's got like 8 offensive linemen in the game.
Yeah. Well. If they do a lot of that.
So I got to give them credit for that. They do mix it up how they run the ball.
Well, you have to, right? Like you can't, if you tell the opposite team, I don't know what KF liked to be. I think he liked to be as close to 50-50 or 60-40 as he could with the running game. I mean, Illinois is 80-20. They're like a nice pack of 80-20 ground beef, you know? And
it's probably not because they want to be. It's
no,
because they kind of have to be. Like you said, that passing game is just not there.
704 yards for Artur Sitkowski, who is their starting quarterback. Brandon Peters has gotten really damn near the same amount of time. He has 110 attempts. Sitkowski has 150. They both have thrown for about 700 yards. So I think Sitkowski was hurt.
It's like 140 yards a game.
It's bad. Yeah. So
which is yeah, in this day and age of football, it's like a little bit of an outlier there.
Right. So we're going to see a lot of running. And if they do go to that 7 offensive line set, what do we expect there? I imagine more Justin Jacobs instead of.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of Justin Jacobs this game, I imagine.
Okay. Yeah. He's. I think I've said it multiple times this year. When you're talking about a physical specimen, right? Like a guy that's just sort of built to play football, like Justin Jacobs is that guy.
Kind of reminds me of Q. It's like you could put him in an Under Armour store, put a couple of pieces of Under Armour on them, and he can be your mannequin.
Stand him up on the platform, yeah, exactly. and just have him stay still and no one will
just pay him to stand around all day just wearing stuff.
Yeah, that's funny. So, and he's a we've seen him. His most notable play this year is when he set the edge against Iowa State, caused the fumble, and Jack Campbell scoops and scores. So we know that he can be physical in the run game. Is there any situation where we put 5 D linemen in, or we just bring the box down and just use more athletic guys?
No, I mean, we only really do that in goal line situations with our goal line package. I don't see us doing that in the open field at all. It kind of leaves us a little liable if they do spread it out.
Right.
Yeah. So we have run like defenses that are really oriented to stopping the run. And I imagine that's what we're going to play a lot of Saturday afternoon. It's a weird afternoon time.
Yeah, this is, I forgot to mention that this is a 1:00 Central kick, which I don't think we ever played in one of those.
No. So this is what they used to do back in the day. My dad said this is what time back in the 80s where he played like every week was 1 p.m.
Well, I don't, as we've mentioned, we prefer the earlier game time. So this is actually going to be, guys will show up. The buses will show up at 11. Mm-hmm. The pregame meal will be at 9. Like that's
actually kind of nice. Yeah.
This is like my kind of game time right here. Because I do the post-game radio show, which happens about an hour after the game ends, we come on and it goes for 2 hours. I also appreciate this because that gives me another 90 minutes on the back end of things. So I imagine it's going to be a fairly quick game. A lot of running means running clock. Mm-hmm. Defensively for Illinois, they are middle of the Big Ten. I mentioned
Big Ten, but been playing better down the stretch.
Have been playing better down the stretch
against Minnesota. Like they've been pretty tough against the run recently. Minnesota and against Penn State as well. They're getting better.
So do you?
And they're also coming off a bye week. I expect this is gonna be a tough game.
Oh yeah,
shit on them all you want. I don't see the Hawks covering this 12-point spread. I think it's gonna be close.
Is it 12?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't see. I would have guessed closer to 8 or 9, and I
hope I'm wrong, but
I'd love to see a 2 or 3 score win, but I agree. I don't think they're going to cover 12. What is the over under at?
What do you think it's at?
42.
38.5.
Ooh, wow. They really don't trust these teams. And I don't either, to be honest.
I think Iowa's been like in the 30s, like the last 4 games.
Which is embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassing. I pulled up I had the stats up earlier when I was with Drake. Guess how many points per game Ohio State is scoring? They're the top of the Big Ten, of course.
48.
46. It was 46. They are scoring 46 points per game.
Yeah, that offense is really clicking right now.
So they're covering the Iowa spreads, which are between 2 teams by themselves. They're an outlier because the next best is Michigan and Michigan State, both like at 34. So 12 points over anybody else. Illinois is second to last, scoring 17 points per game, 16 points per game.
Northwestern in last place, or
I believe so. Yeah. And so, our defense is good. We know that. And I expect some version of the game we saw last weekend.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit.
Minnesota.
And, given the bye week, I'd imagine we'd have Illinois with a few tricks up their sleeves. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull out some trick plays.
End of the season as well. And
they're not. Season, they need 2 wins to get to a bowl with 2 games left. So,
and I think they can beat Northwestern, which is their final game.
They're going to be favored versus Northwestern for sure.
So if they, effectively, it's beat the Hawks and they make a bowl game. So they have all the stuff to play for.
For sure. You're going to get their best shot. There's no doubt about that.
Now, the one thing that is holding them back is old Big Bert Billinois. He isn't going to be there.
That's correct.
Now, I don't think we ever were without KF, but this happens time to time, especially in the COVID era here. Sometimes coaches have passings in the family or whatever it may be. What does that do? How does that really affect, for a listener sitting there, like wondering, how does that affect a team? In your opinion, what kind of effect does that actually have on a program when they go into a Saturday game?
I'd imagine it depends at what point he got tested positive. Like if KF were to test positive like on Thursday on our bye day, and we didn't have him Friday and day of Saturday, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it'd make a huge difference.
Not a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have him all week, which I believe this was announced on Monday, so he would have tested positive either Sunday or Monday.
Right. Like, I don't know. You can have Zoom calls. You can meet with your assistant coaches and talk to whoever's going to be running the sideline on game day, kind of give them your idea of the game plan. We've talked about it before, especially like on defense. Phil was our guy.
Yeah.
Phil was our leader.
And he would have stepped in if that did happen to KF, right? Like he's probably the guy who takes over as acting head coach.
I don't know. A lot of teams started doing is the special teams coach.
Really?
And so that the offense coordinator and defensive coordinator could just keep worrying about their jobs.
True.
Special teams coach doesn't have as much on his plate, so he can be the one worried about clock management, stuff like that.
Yeah. 2 quick questions for you before we get to everyone's favorite, and I'm going to keep calling it that. Everyone's favorite. I asked these to Drake. One of them is, well, they're both rival related, but nothing to do with us. Well, somewhat to do with us. One is we are Nebraska fans this weekend. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. Nebraska will be playing at recently ranked number 15, recently being last night in the CFP. Wisconsin, they'll be in Camp Randall, and they will not have they'll be without 4 or 5 of their offensive coaches.
Equipment manager is the offensive coordinator this week.
Greg Morris is coaching the running backs. Ben Hansen has the quarterback. Like, I don't know actually in our Jason Manson, the new player development guy, he could step in as quarterback coach.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd imagine all the programs out there got guys like that, guys that have other titles, but could step in and coach.
Does Scott Frost call the plays now? Like what?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything out of their camp of what's going on with any of that, honestly.
Wisconsin's -9. How do you feel about that? Is there any chance that Nebraska pulls off the miracle and helps out the Hawks this weekend?
I'll tell you in a little bit. I'll tell you in the next segment.
Okay. All right. We'll leave that one. And then finally, before we get to that segment, I doubt you saw this. Maybe you did. Campbell, like all coaches, had his weekly media, Matt Campbell over in Lames. And I think, I'm not sure what the question was exactly, but it was.
He's still everybody's favorite, even though he's like 6-4 this year.
Well, he is a name, right? Because he did bring them out of the hole into relevance. And
congratulations, your team is 6-4 in the Big 12.
And this was supposed to be their season. The same thing I said to Drake. I said, you know what, this was, last year was 9-3 and they won their bowl game versus Oregon. Call that a good year, a great year for them, their best year. But with everybody coming back, their quarterback, their tight ends, their defense, this was supposed to be like the double-digit win season and potentially make a run at the big show. And now they sit 6-4 with no Cy-Hawk trophy. And today, when asked about their goals for the season or trying to compete for a Big 12 championship, Matt Campbell's response was that their goal publicly was, and he's like, publicly, I've never said that our goal was to win a Big 12 championship. That's never been the goal of this team. Our goal is to be the best 2021 Cyclone team that we can be. Reach our potential. Now, I thought that was an odd way to answer that question. And I actually responded to Chris Hassel, who is a news guy, works for ESPN now. And he said something about it. Yeah. And I said, that's really odd, because for the Hawks, every year at the beginning of the year, on paper, clearly defined was win every game, but more specifically, win our trophy games, win the West. And if we win the West, then compete for a Big Ten championship. So me and Drake came to the conclusion that either A, that's actually was their goal on the inside. And at the beginning of this off season, he's like, hey, our goal this year is to be, this like weird romantic description of be our best, meet our potential, but let's not put a solid defined goal out there, a smart goal, if you will. Mm-hmm. Or they actually did, it's specific, measurable, right?
Attainable. Was attainable up there? Is
attainable, reasonable, and time-based, I think, or something like that. Or they did set goals like that, like I think, or I thought every team did. But then in the media, he's saying something different and kind of like trying to make an excuse for them not making it to the Big 12 championship. I'm confused. Either way, it's sort of a weird, bad look.
Yeah, I mean, so you'll hear coaches say all the time, especially teams that really, you can say you want to win the Big Ten or whatever conference you're in or national championships, but that's not realistic for your team, is to say, we just want to play our best football 12 games a year. Mm-hmm. Like that. Or we just want to go out there and play our best game. I mean, you hear stuff like that all the time. If they really were going into the season with the goal of not having the goal of winning the Big 12 championship,
that's,
I mean, is that even a goal of your university? I don't know.
I'm not sure if that's good coaching, right? Leadership.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I guess there's two sides of it. I mean, you take it one game at a time. It's like, hey, we just want to play the next game. We want to play our best football or something like that.
Right.
KF would always bring up the Nate Kading quote. It's like, say, what was it? It's like one step at a time. There is no big picture, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's the thing he's going with there.
Maybe. He looked a little flustered when he answered the question. And of course, the way that social media is,
I would never go to the media, or I would never say that word. I would never say this out loud, that our goal is not to win the Big 12 championship.
And it was very, I mean, that's exactly what it was. It was weird. It was weird. But
so, I get this saying like, hey, we just want to play our best football or be our best selves in 2021. I get that part. The opposite, the goal is not to win the Big 12 championship. That's the part I don't.
Right.
Why would you say that out loud?
Right. Yeah.
Or why'd you even think that? I don't know.
And that's why it felt like a backtrack, or sort of this cover up of the performance that they put out this year. Who knows? I'm interested to know now. Okay, you were at the top of the mountain. You're the guy that everybody wants. You're never going to be wanted as badly as you are right now in these last couple years. Now that you're 6-4 and maybe what you saw isn't as achievable as you thought, does he scamper away and go take a bigger job? I don't know. Riley Moss, I believe, well, he played last week, and then obviously more has come out about him. He has no PCL. So he joins the club, and the Army Discord was talking about it. And I said, well, actually Kevin doesn't have a PCL either. And he went through most of his career like that. So people wanted you to shed a little bit of light on how that affects anything, if at all. And just your personal experience.
Yeah. Very, very weird injury, I gotta say. When you actually do it, it doesn't really hurt. I mean, it kind of hurt a little bit, but it was just wow, my knee feels really weird right now. But it becomes really unstable. So it kind of subluxes a little bit, specifically if you have your foot on the ground. I showed Clue this all the time. I can just move my shin back and forth. There's nothing keeping it. So here's my femur, here's my tibia. Just move it back and forth.
It's a little. If you're at all squeamish, it's not the funnest thing to watch.
Yeah, so they'd always have the student trainers come in, and the trainers would be all right, guess which one has the hurt PCL? And they'd be go on my right leg. It's maybe, I don't know. And then go on my other leg and be oh yeah, that's it.
You're a case study.
Yeah, exactly. But you basically have to relearn how to run, how to move side to side a lot. You have to kind of train the stabilizing muscles in your knee to kind of take over the fact that ligament is not functioning anymore.
Yeah. And I think we could see that a little bit with Riley last week. He didn't quite have the zip, kind of the speed.
Yeah. So from what I remember, this was my redshirt freshman year going in. This was my second camp when I got hurt.
You love camp.
I could get back to practice. I was back practicing 3 weeks later, I think, but I wasn't right. I wasn't 100%. It was, my knee would kind of give in, and I'd just kind of stumble.
Yeah.
It was specifically, I don't remember, if I was just running in a straight line as fast as I can, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if I had to break down real quick, make a cut, I think it was speeding up, stopping and going real fast. That was when I'd kind of feel it kind of give on me a little bit. That was the hardest thing to get back. And he'll be 100% back better than ever by the end of the season for sure. It's just kind of, you really have to teach your whole body how to rerun.
Funny enough, he is a senior. He did mention, however, when asked about, because he technically has the COVID year, he said he has not closed the door on coming back next season, but I believe he is going to go through senior day stuff. So interesting to see where that goes. And hopefully, regardless if he comes back or not, probably not, he gets back to fully healthy so he can go ball out in the league. But that brings us to everybody's favorite.
Kevin.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it up.
And as you mentioned, it was a good week last week. As you mentioned earlier, the Nebraska-Wisconsin game seems to potentially be one of your picks. So give your 3. I need to look and actually find mine. So talk to the people.
We actually need to make this Wisconsin -9.5 the
yes,
pod consensus pick, so that we inevitably lose. But it'd be the most Nebraska thing to still lose, but just cover the
it would.
But
It would.
I know we need Nebraska to win this week. I don't see it, and I don't see them covering 9.5 going into Camp Randall. Wisconsin is playing their best football of the year in the right time.
Yeah.
They're a completely different football team than when they started off 1-3. They are looking good. They're playing physical Wisconsin football. That defense is legit, and they're going against a team that fired their entire offensive coaching staff. So I think Wisconsin wins, and I think they cover this pretty easily. But hey, let's go Nebraska.
I'll make it a consensus pick on the graphic just in case that shit actually is voodoo magic.
Imagine if we had that kind of black magic abilities.
Oh my God.
We just make whatever we want to happen. We just pick the opposite.
It'd be great.
So I'm not too hopeful on the Cornhuskers getting it done for the Hawks this week. Now, hopefully this next team can get it done for us the following week, because I got the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I got it at 7. I think it's at 7.5 now, at Indiana. Minnesota's a good football team. I think they play tough. They play hard. And Indiana is absolutely racked with injuries right now.
They are just the saddest season that a college football team could ever go through, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2-8. They started the season ranked number 17 or something. They had dreams of maybe competing in the East, and boy, yeah, and like I said, racked with injuries. They look like they just came off a war front. If there's ever a time for just kind of,
I mean, Rutgers beat them
in the towel for the season. This is it.
Dude, Rutgers beat them 38-3.
Yeah,
last week. Rutgers.
Yeah. So I got the Golden Gophers covering. I got it at 7. I think it's at 7.5 now. I think you're still good with that 7.5. And then my last one, I got, which one is one I go between?
Dude, the Ohio State, Michigan State line, that's absurd.
Yeah. That's not my pick though. I think I'm going to go with Rutgers plus 17.5 versus Penn State. I think Penn State wins this one. I don't think it's ever really a super close game, but I think Rutgers keeps it within the spread here.
Okay. All right. There you go. Drake's picks were, he was taking Wisconsin -9. That was one of his picks. It's fate.
Do it.
I'm making it the consensus pick of the week, and Wisconsin -9 hits easy money, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't know about my other picks. I am looking at that Michigan State plus 19 line. Wow, that's a lot of respect for Ohio State, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it. Purdue went in and it exploited their secondary. Who's the worst?
I think Purdue and Michigan State are like very similar teams.
And we know what Purdue just did against Ohio State.
They have good offenses and defenses that can be good at times, can be, against the best offense in the league, could probably get exploited a little bit. So
yeah.
What's the over under? I think it was pretty high, right? It was in the high 60s, I want to say.
Let's see. Let me find it again. Who am I looking for? Ohio State, Michigan State?
68.5.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. I went with Wake Forest, and they helped me out. They're actually a dog at Clemson, and Clemson has not been impressive, and I'm seeing 4.5 on some sites.
Yeah.
I'll take Clemson and the points.
So it's kind of a, what's going to give type scenario. You got a really bad offense and good defense
versus
Clemson, and then you got a really good offense and bad defense in Wake Forest. So
it's strength against strength and weakness against weakness.
Exactly. It's
could be an interesting game. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The consensus pick, Wisconsin's gonna roll, and we'll just put that into the ether. And then I'll make sure that this is on the graphic. I'm not too confident at this point in anything else, to be honest. I'm just really not. I don't see anything that jumps out at me. And so I'm not going to put it out there, but it will be on the graphic. So you've got Kevin's picks, you got Drake's picks, and you have 2 of my picks, or the consensus pick plus the Wake Forest pick. So that's Ward's winners. Kevin's going to have to go deal with his chili festival, and I got to get back to my workout. We got squat cleans, power cleans. So all is fun. Thank you guys for buying the merch. Thank you guys for signing up for the Patreon. Again, if you're going to buy merch, might as well sign up for the Patreon. It pays for itself with the discount code, and supporting the kids. All that goes 50%. Kevin and Drake and I were just talking about how big that number has grown to this year. Kevin on the Dickhead Tuesday podcast yesterday, the Patreon exclusive weekly pod. Drake and I had the idea that he dresses up like Santa and I dress up as an elf. And we take that donation number, whatever it may be, and we actually buy the presents that all the kids want, and we show up at the hospital. So
take some pictures. I'm more of a check writing type.
You're not going to be there. Oh, Kevin doesn't like the children. Oh,
I don't know if the children love that idea, to be honest.
They don't want to see an elf with a mustache like you.
No,
walking.
I'm sure they're fine with getting a PlayStation 5 or whatever you guys are going to get.
They just don't really give a shit about the.
I don't think they want to Drake dressed up as a Santa with a mullet and bad facial hair to be the one to give it to them.
Drake said he would dye his mullet white. Just absolutely absurd. So maybe we don't.
You're just these poor children have gone through enough. We don't need to scar them like that.
You're right. Maybe that's not a good experience to put them through. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll figure that out. But all of your purchases of the merchandise, which there's some really cool stuff this time around, it all goes into that fund. And this year specifically, the walk-ons have taken a large step up, which means that the contribution looks a whole lot bigger on the actual check. So
coming for you, Linderbaum.
Yeah, we're coming. Yeah, we're coming for Lindy's 25K, whatever he raised. But thanks for purchasing and supporting us that way. Thanks for listening to the episode. Hopefully we're talking to you as a 9-2 football team with one more week to go.
And by the way, when the Hawks over 8.5 win hits, that's going in my total.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is this week. We have 2 weeks to hit the 8.5 win total from the beginning of the season. Looking pretty good right now. So we'll get back to you on Monday, of course. Regularly scheduled programming. It's Thanksgiving next week, so that's exciting. But we'll talk to you then. Thanks for listening. Peace.